Almon Keefer by James Whitcomb Riley. Ah, Almon Keefer. What a boy you were, with your back-tilted hat and careless hair, and open, honest, fresh, fair face and eyes with their all-varying looks of pleased surprise and joyous interest in flower and tree, and poising hummingbird, and maundering bee. The fields and woods he knew, the tireless tramp with gun and dog, and the night fisher's camp. No other boy, save Bee Lineback, had won such brilliant mastery of rod and gun. Even in his earliest childhood had he shown these traits that marked him as his father's own. Dogs all paid Almon honor and bow-wowed allegiance. Let him come in any crowd of rabbit-hunting town boys, even though his own dog. Sleuth rebuked their acting so with jealous snarls and growlings. But the best of Almon's virtues, leading all the rest, was his great love of books, and skill as well in reading them aloud, and by the spell thereof enthralling his mute listeners, as they grouped about him in the orchard grass, hinging their bare shins in the mottled shine and shade, as they lay prone, or stretched supine beneath their favorite tree, with dreamy eyes and argo-fandies voyaging the skies. Tales of the Ocean was the name of one old dog's-eared book that was surpassed by none of all the glorious list. Its back was gone, but its vitality went bravely on in such delicious tales of land and sea as may not ever perish utterly. Of still more dubious cast, Jack Sheppard drew full admiration, and Dick Turpin, too. And, painful as the fact is to convey, in certain lurid tales of their own day, these boys found thieving heroes and outlaws they hailed with equal fervor of applause. The League of the Miami, why, the name alone was fascinating, is the same in memory, this venerable hour of moral wisdom shorn of all its power, as it unblushingly reverts to when the old barn was the cave, and hears again the signal blown, outside the buggy shed. The drowsy guard within uplifts his head, and, who goes there? Is called, in bated breath, the challenge answered in a hush of death, shush, Barney Gray, and then, what do you seek? Stables of the League. The voice comes spent and weak, for, ha! The law is on the chieftain's trail, tracked to his very lair. Well, what avail? The secret entrance opens, closes. So the robber captain thus outwits his foe, and, safe once more within his cavern halls, he shakes his clenched fist at the warped plank walls and mutters his defiance through the cracks at the balked enemy's retreating backs as the loud horde flees pell-mell down the lane, and Almon Keefer is himself again. Excepting few, they were not books indeed of deep import that Almon chose to read, less fact than fiction. Much he favored those, if not in poetry, in hectic prose, that made our native Indian a wild, feathered and fine-preened hero that a child could recommend as just about the thing to make a god of, or at least a king. Aside from Almon's own books, 2 or 3, his store of lore the township library supplied him weekly. All the books with or s, subtitled, lured him, after Indian Wars, and Life of Daniel Boone, not to include some few books spiced with humor, Robin Hood, and rare, Don Quixote. And one time he took Dad's Cattle Doctor. How he hugged the book and hurried homeward, with internal glee and humorous spasms of expectancy. All this confession, as he promptly made it, the day later, writhing in the shade of the old apple tree with John T. and Bud, Noe Bixler, and the hired hand, was quite as funny as the book was not. O wonderland of wayward childhood! What an easy, breezy realm of summer calm and dreamy gleam and gloom and bloom and balm thou art! The lotus land the poet sung, it is the child world while the heart beats young. While the heart beats young, oh the splendor of the spring, with all her dewy jewels on, is not so fair a thing. The fairest, rarest morning of the blossom time of May is not so sweet a season as the season of today while youth's diviner climate folds and holds us, close caressed, as we feel our mothers with us by the touch of face and breast, our bare feet in the meadows, and our fancies up among the airy clouds of morning, while the heart beats young. While the heart beats young and our pulses leap and dance, with every day a holiday and life a glad romance. We hear the birds with wonder, and with wonder watch their flight, standing still the more enchanted, both of hearing and of sight, when they have vanished wholly, for, in fancy, wing to wing we fly to heaven with them. And, returning, still we sing the praises of this lower heaven with tireless voice and tongue, even as the Master sanctions, while the heart beats young. While the heart beats young. While the heart beats young. O green and gold old earth of ours, with azure overhung and looped with rainbows. Grant us yet this grassy lap of thine, we would be still thy children, through the shower and the shine. So pray we, lisping, whispering, in childish love and trust with our beseeching hands and faces lifted from the dust by fervor of the poem, all unwritten and unsung, thou givest us in answer, while the heart beats young.